Let's go.
As you are taking a live look at the White House, President Trump getting ready to make his way to New Orleans as the first sitting president ever to attend a Super Bowl game. And we also wanted to let you know this as well, that President Trump has cut off aid to South Africa, sharing this message on social media saying, quote, South Africa is confiscating land and treating certain classes of people very badly. It is a bad situation that the radical left media doesn't want to so much as mention. A massive human rights violation is happening for all to see. The United States won't stand for it. We will act. Also, because of this, I will be cutting off all aid to South Africa until further notice. President Trump making that announcement today ahead of his travels to New Orleans for.
I saw a video. They were like singing and dancing and talking about it. What did they say? I don't know what the word was, but pretty much they were dancing and singing, saying that they were going to kill the farmers. It's like, what? That's wild.
The Super Bowl, and I did want to share just a little bit more with you as you are taking a live look right there at the White House on this Sunday morning. Groups representing some of South Africa's white minority responding to this plan to offer them refugee status as well and resettlement in the United States, saying thank you, but no thank you. So this plan was detailed in an executive order President Trump signed on Friday that stopped all aid and financial assistance to South Africa as punishment for what the Trump administration said were rights violations by the government against some of its white citizens. The Trump administration accusing the South African government of allowing violent attacks on white Afrikaner farmers and introducing a land expropriation law that enables it to, quote, cede ethnic minority Afrikaners agricultural property without compensation. Now, the South African government has denied that there are any concerted attacks on white farmers and said that President Trump's description of the new land law is full of misinformation and distortions. Afrikaners are descended from mainly Dutch, but also French and German colonial settlers who first arrived in South Africa more than 300 years ago. And Saturday, two of the most prominent groups representing Afrikaners say they will not be taking up President Trump's offers of resettlement in the United States. So as President Trump is preparing for his trip to New Orleans for the Super Bowl. Still a very busy Sunday morning at the White House, out as he has now cut off all aid to South Africa until further notice, sharing this statement via Truth Social, quote, South Africa is confiscating land and treating certain classes of people very badly. It is a bad situation that the radical left media doesn't want to so much as mention.
You already read that.
A massive human rights violation is happening for all to see. The United States won't stand for it. We will act.
Try to get more
because of
engagement
this, I will be cutting off all aid to South Africa until further notice.
Next clip.
President Trump on Friday signed an executive order to cut U.S. financial assistance to South Africa and prioritize the resettlement of white South Africans in the United States through the U.S. refugee program. Trump suspended that program, which assists refugees with housing, job placement, and other needs, on his first day in office. Trump alleged that white South Africans are now the target of oppression by the country's government, claiming a new South African law allows the racially motivated seizures of their land. The South African land reform policy is an effort by the government to return land that was originally taken from non-white South Africans during apartheid. Trump also cited his disapproval of South Africa's genocide case against U.S. ally Israel at the International Court of Justice. Trump administration advisor Elon Musk, who was born in South Africa, has previously criticized the nation's policies as anti-white. South Africa's foreign minister responded this weekend that the order, quote, lacks factual accuracy and fails to recognize South Africa's profound and painful history of colonialism and apartheid.
Wow. You know what's messed up? Like anytime someone says misinformation or talks about racism, or, you say the H word, Even if you're telling the truth, it doesn't matter anymore because it's been so played out that people just ignore you because they think you're full of crap. That's messed up. Where's let me watch this.
And that's big trouble for them.
You've said a lot about South Africa in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
It's hosting the G20 summit this year. Are you planning to attend this, or are you skipping it and telling your cabinet to not?
Well, we'll see what happens, but the South African situation is very, very dangerous and very bad for a lot of people. There's tremendously bad things going on.
Crazy videos, man.
Including the confiscation of property. And worse, much worse than that. You know what I'm talking about.
Right. Sending people to heaven.
We're not
That's
making
what
any
he's talking
payment
about.
until we find out what's going on in South Africa. Yes, please.
What's next for
Where's that lady talking about all the BS they're spending money on? Oh, here it is.
Today, I'm going to expose some of the initiatives USAID has funded over the years and ask each of you a yes or no question.
You know they ain't gonna. They are not answering yes or no. Come on now. No comment. Plead the fifth. Some crap. You shouldn't be allowed to do that as an elected official. You answer the question. Even if I don't agree with you, just answer it. Be honest. Like, come on, man.
If you believe these expenditures of American taxpayer dollars put America first. So it'll be yes or no. USAID awarded $2 million to strengthen trans-led organizations to deliver gender-affirming health care in Guatemala. So to each of you this morning, does this advance the interests of American citizens paying for trannies in Guatemala to the tune of $2 million? Yes or no? Governor?
I have no position.
Of course you don't.
Told you.
Okay, USAID awarded over $750,000 to fund alleviating loneliness among migrant garment workers in India. Does this advance America's interests, Governor?
No.
No. I have no position.
USAID awarded $1.5 million for providing a gender-sensitive response to migration at the Venezuelan border. Does this advance America's interests, Governor?
No.
No. I have no position.
Does this advance the interests? Okay, so USAID awarded $4.3 million on October 1st, 2023 to a group to fund comprehensive health services for men having sex with other men in South Africa. Does this advance the interests of American citizens, Governor?
No.
No. I have no position.
I bet you don't. Okay. USAID awarded $1.5 million to advance diversity, equity, and inclusion in Serbia's workplaces and business communities by promoting economic empowerment and opportunity for LGBTQI plus people in Serbia. Does this advance America's interests?
No.
No.
No position.
You have no idea, right? Okay. USAID awarded over $70,000 to a group to deliver a live musical event to promote the U.S. and Irish shared values of diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility. Does this advance the interests of America?
No.
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 No position.
No position or no clue?
That's wild. That's so much money just being wasted. What's going on, man? Anyways, I want to watch this other one. 10 minutes.
Exemption talk about widespread fraud and abuse.
Oh, yeah, tremendous fraud. There's tremendous fraud, and it's hard to believe that you can have that kind of fraud. You're talking about like...
Not really.
Are you talking about what? Wait. Which are you talking? You're talking about with regard to all of the investigations that are going on about this stupidity. What we're going to do is tomorrow I'm having a news conference. I'm going to read to you some of the names that hundreds of millions and even billions of dollars have been given to. And if you tell me that we should be giving money to those things, those entities, I think you'll probably have to leave as a reporter because you're not very. That money's coming back.
Dear Dr. K, I used to think I was never meant to be beautiful. You work within my budget and help me.
We have a lot of stuff, and I want to commend not luxury that's getting luxury 3 months, thousands and thousands of transactions, but they'd be able to do that with every single.
Exemption talk about widespread fraud and abuse.
Oh yeah, tremendous fraud. There's tremendous fraud, and it's hard to believe that you can have that kind of fraud. You're talking about are you talking about what? Wait. Which are you talking? You're talking about with regard to all of the investigations that are going on about this stupidity. What we're going to do is tomorrow I'm having a news conference. I'm going to read to you some of the names that hundreds of millions and even billions of dollars have been given to. And if you tell me that we should be giving money to those things, those entities, I think you'll probably have to leave as a reporter because you're not very talented. When you look at the kind of money, billions and billions of dollars being thrown away illegally, and there's no chance. And I say it in front of our Attorney General, there's no chance that there's not kickbacks or something going on. When you give millions and millions of dollars to somebody that stands to look at something for 15 minutes and walks away with millions of dollars, that money's coming back in some form. And that's only one form of corruption. The biggest thing is what they do to our country. They're taking massive amounts of money and spending it on items. I went through a list of 200 expenditures that were made, and I found 3 that looked like they were reasonable. Okay, 3. And we'll be talking about that tomorrow. We have a lot of stuff. And I want to commend Elon because he's done a fantastic. He doesn't need this. You know, he's abused by you people every day. He's found more things than anybody could find. I think he's got the credibility to do it. I know he does. And it's his group of people. You know, they started off with 12. I call them 12 geniuses. They started off with 12, and they went to 20 and 25, and now they're up to almost 100. People are joining to help them because there's a massive fraud that's taken place. And then you have judges that are activists, and they sit there and they say, oh, as an example, $59 million going to a little small group in New York City. You get nothing going to North Carolina to help nothing. They say, we don't have any money because they've given it away on the border. But you have nothing. What they did to North Carolina is a shame. And then they sent $59 million to New York City for a hotel for a little bit of nothing. What they've done, a hotel that was not luxury, that's getting luxury rates for migrants, where they're making a fortune, and we catch them. But a judge says, well, even though it may be a fraud, you have to send the money in anyway. Send the money. I said, wait a minute. We have money that shouldn't go because we caught it before it was sent out, but they want the money to go anyway. And I think you're going to have a lot of things to look at, Pam. I really do. What's going on with this whole thing? And this is just one group. We haven't talked about Department of Education. We haven't talked about the military. We haven't talked about a lot of things that are very big. And what's happened is, as an example, you'll have cases where you have a 3-month contract, and maybe the guy that signs the contract leaves. Maybe he gets rich. All of a sudden, he leaves for that reason. But you have a 3-month contract, and maybe he leaves. So the contract is sitting there, and the people signing the checks don't know it's 3 months, and it goes on for years. The 3 months turns out to be 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, just goes on forever. And the guy on the other side of the contract just keeps getting check after check after check because Elon had an expression yesterday, because nobody cares. It's a great expression. Nobody cares. The guy that signed the contract didn't care. Maybe there, may not be there, maybe crooked. Who knows? But you have to care. Otherwise, you can't really run a thing like that, or you can't run a country, really, because there's so many transactions, thousands and thousands of transactions. And if you don't have people that care, you're going to lose control. And that's what's happened. And we've caught it. Now, what we caught is billions and billions of dollars, but it's a tiny fraction of the real number. because you can never catch the real number because people have gotten away with tremendous amounts of money. But
So much waste.
I said we have to make our government smaller, more efficient, more effective, and a lot less expensive.
True. Correct.
And we could find $1 trillion, but we're being hindered by courts where they file in certain courts where it's very hard to win. And a judge will stop us, and a judge will say that it doesn't make any difference what you find. You just keep paying the money. That's a hell of a way to be. And I follow the courts. I have to follow the law. All it means is that we appeal. But that gives people time to cover their tracks. And that's what they do. So it's a very bad thing that's taking place. But hopefully the courts will be fair. They don't have to be very fair. They just have to be a little bit fair because this is so egregious what's taking place. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. Nobody's seen numbers like this. These are massive numbers. $9 million for somebody to go and stand in a store and see how people shop. Okay? I mean, you take a look at these things. It's a disgrace.
Don't interrupt me.
And
Hold
then you
on.
have a country
Hold
that
it.
we want to
Woman.
make America great again. It's very hard to make America great again when you have things like this. And you're going to see the same thing. Department of Education is going to be a disaster. The military, I mean, I see it. Look, I came in, they had a contract done, as you know, for $5.7 billion for airplanes. It was Air Force One with Boeing. 5.7. I got it down to $4 billion, little less than that, 1 penny less than that. $3,999,999 and 99 cents. I said, has to have a 3 in front of it because I wouldn't sign the contract for $5.7 billion. I was able to cut $1.7 billion off the price. And it didn't take me long. $1.7 billion. If people would care, they'd be able to do that with every single contract that's put before them. And we wouldn't have deficits, would have nothing but a tremendously low-taxed, wonderful country. But they have to care. And speaking of that, you know, Boeing, we're not happy with the service we're getting in terms of those planes.
Do your thing, man.
They would like to get more money. We're not happy about that whole thing. We signed a very strong contract. I signed a guaranteed maximum contract, which they haven't seen in a long time. And they're saying they're getting hurt by it. But they have to produce the product, and we expect them to produce the product. They have to produce the product. They agreed to build planes at a certain price. They're not used to that. They're used to having time and material contracts where it's whatever it costs, time and material, no dates, no anything, and it ends up costing 5 times more. You look at some of the ships that have been built. Take a look at the Gerald Ford, the aircraft carrier, the Ford. It was supposed to cost $3 billion. It ends up costing like $18 billion. And they make, of course, all electric catapults, which don't work. What? And they have all magnetic elevators. They lift up 25 planes at a time, 20 planes at a time. And instead of using hydraulic, like on tractors that can handle anything from hurricanes to lightning to anything, they use magnets. It's a new theory. Magnets are going to lift the planes up, and it doesn't work. And they had billions and billions of dollars of cost overruns. I met the architect. I said, have you designed a ship before? This is one of the biggest ships in the world. It's like landing at LaGuardia Airport. But you look at the kind of waste, fraud, and abuse that this country is going through, and we have to straighten it out. We have great people going into the military in terms of we need ships, we need a lot of things. We have great people we have business people going in. But when you look at what's happened to our purchasing, and when you look at the USAID, when you look at the things that they're giving to them, the billions of dollars that they're giving to, and it doesn't make sense. It is interesting that when you're looking for fraud, you look at items, hundreds of items, and you'll find 1 or 2, maybe, if you're lucky. Here's something where you look at data, and they're all fraudulent. You know, by just looking at the topic, they're all fraudulent, except it's the opposite. You'll find 1 or 2 that's like a legitimate reason. So I just want to thank Elon for going through it. I want to thank all the people that are working with him. You know, we have a big group of people. I think the lowest IQ is about 160. That's very high.
That's funny. That's funny. But even, I mean, we all know he tends to exaggerate just a little bit. But even if half the stuff they're talking about, half the fraud they're talking about is true, that is wild. There's no reason every single person in this country shouldn't be supporting DOGE. The government should be audited. I'm sorry. I mean, that's like, come on, man. So much waste. But yeah, so, alrighty then. What's next?